Hey everybody, this is Katherine Steiner, and today I'm going to talk to you about creating meaningful and accessible asynchronous presentations, specifically aimed at the kindergarten through second grade, and we're talking specifically about art today. So this is a presentation I put together about a book, The Dot, and when I put these lessons together, I have two major things going on. One of them is creating an engaging lesson for the students, and the second is making sure the slides are accessible and aren't going to have any problems. So first thing, I usually go with a book when I'm doing asynchronous lessons. For this one, I picked The Dot by Reynolds, which has some really great social emotional connections and also connects really directly to art. It is one of my favorites to show my more reluctant students. They like it, they really get into it. And I find this a really great early lesson in the year. It's a good kickoff and they get really into it. They want to make more dots, and then you have to move them on to making more art. So the first thing I do when I make these slides is I make sure that the students aren't going to delete things by accident. They're K2. Sometimes they'll click something and delete it by accident. It happens, as opposed to the older kids who will delete questions and things like that on purpose. So what you want to do with that is you want to lock down your screen. You want to lock down all your slides. So as you can see, this text box can't be moved. You can't see the text box. You can't move it. The only thing that you can move, because I'm sharing this with you as teachers, the only thing that can be moved right now is my Bitmoji. My Bitmoji moves around, mostly because I wanted to share this with you, and your students don't all need to see my blue-haired Bitmoji. So this is movable for you because I wanted you to be able to replace it. And I'm also going to use it to show you how to lock down your slide. Make nothing movable unless something needs to be manipulated. So here's how you do it. You go up to File. You click Download. You're going to download the slide image as a PNG. And that comes up right here in the bottom of my browser. I'm going to go up to the image menu, change the background. I'm going to choose an image. I'm going to browse, and I'm going to go to my most recent downloads. I'm actually not sure that that will show up in the screen share. I don't think it will, but I'm going to open my most recent downloads, and there I will find this background. Wait a minute to load. Done. Get rid of that. And now it's part of the background. You can't move it anymore. It is now part of the background. I'm actually going to undo that. Control Z will undo. It is undo twice, so undo the background change. And now I can move it again. By the way, Control Z, undo, is the most important keyboard shortcut that I've ever used. Apple Z if you're using a Mac. Really easy if you've made a mistake like deleting something you didn't mean to delete or changing something you didn't want to change. Control Z or Apple Z will put that right back to the way you had it. One of my most important shortcuts. So on the next screen, I use a which does not belong activity. I use a lot of these synchronously with my students, and they really get into it. So on this screen, you can see, again, text box. These words will not move. They can't accidentally get deleted. This chart, I try to click and drag it, it won't move. The directions don't move. Questions don't move. The only thing on this slide that needs to be manipulated is the text boxes. So I can type in this text box. I can type in this one too. So the text boxes can be manipulated because the students need to type in them. And so these are the things you include after you have put in your background. So you make the slide the way you want it, minus anything that needs to be manipulated, like a text box. And then you put those in after you've generated that background and made it work. The next slide, I put a song. Again, the directions up here, not movable. The video is movable because you need to be able to play it. Making a PNG out of a video will make it into a flat image, and an image can't play. It's got to be a video. So the video has to be manipulatable. You have to be able to play it, which means you can move it. It also means it can be deleted, but because of the background, it's really obvious what was on this page, the dot song. Listen and move along with the video. So even if a student does accidentally delete it, whatever grown-up they're working with will see that direction and say, okay, I'm pretty confident I can find what this was and put it back. Also, if your parents are even a little tech savvy, undo. Undo will fix so many things. Teach your grown-ups, teach your students, Control Z, Apple Z. It's the best shortcut on your keyboard. So this slide here kind of encompasses everything that is manipulatable in this slide deck. It's got the video, it's got the text boxes. It's also got, again, my Bitmoji in it. Feel free to delete that when you use this. The text boxes, we can type in them. How does Marisol feel at the beginning of the story? How do you know? How does she feel at the end of the story? And how do you know? So this is a really great story for social emotional learning because it doesn't really expressly use feeling words. It tells you what Marisol is doing. And you need to figure out from what she's doing and how she's interacting with her teacher, how she's feeling. And then at the end of the story, you get her interactions with another student. And you have to figure out how she's feeling from the interactions that are going on. It doesn't directly say it, so the students have to really use their brains and their social emotional skills to figure that out. And I know the district is focusing a lot on social emotional skills this year, more than usual. So this is a really great story to tie in with that. The next slide I have is create your own dot. Again, aside from the Bitmoji, everything here is locked down. And in terms of engagement, I leave it really, really open-ended. You make a dot with what you have at home. So that leaves it really open-ended. A lot of students are going to go directly to draw on paper with crayons, colored pencils, markers, whatever it is they have. You might get the more creative student who's going to make dot art out of balled up socks or something else that they have at home, out of grapes. You never know. So I like to leave it really open-ended. And the last slide is actually the one I put up first, and I'm going to tell you why. The last slide is the directions on how to submit your work. Upload your dot art here. A lot of my students have become familiar with taking a photo with their Chromebook and then submitting it to Google Classroom. So I use the same concept here. Or a new thing I just learned is that they can go up here to the image toolbar, click there, and click on the camera and directly insert a picture. You know, hold up their artwork, smile with it, and then it'll go right into that slide. I would demo that for you, but I'm using Zoom to record this right now, and my camera doesn't function with two things at a time. Zoom is using the camera, so Google Slides won't even register that there is a camera because it's being used already. The reason this slide is first is for Google Classroom submissions. Instead of having to go through every slide deck my students turn in, having this as the first slide means it'll be right there on the submission page, so I can look at all the submissions right off the bat and see what my students have been up to. Asynchronous lessons are tough. Getting the engagement is tough. Songs really get the K2 crowd raring and ready to go, especially kindergarten. So many of my kindergartners will get up and dance with this kind of stuff. The last thing I want to show you is how to get this for your students and how to force it to make a copy. With Google Slides, you're not always going to be able to force a copy like you can with Google Docs when you're doing an assignment. So what you're going to do there is you're going to go to the share, you're going to go to the share box. You're going to copy the link. I'm going to paste it right here in the speaker notes so you can see it. You see the way it looks. So here's what it looks like. Let me make that a little bit bigger. So you see the word edit right here. I'm going to delete the word edit and everything after it. And I'm going to change that to copy. And if I use this in my assignment as a link, instead of attaching something from my Google Drive and use this as a link, my students will click this and automatically be prompted with make a copy. They're not even going to see this original one. They're going to have to make a copy for themselves and they won't even be able to touch this. So that's all I've got for you today. If you have anything else that you have questions, you can email me with questions, ksteiner@philasd.org. Again, KSTEINER@philasd.org. Happy to answer questions. If you didn't get a copy of the slide deck, I'm happy to send that to you. And that's about it. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for watching.